Welcome to the DJD Show, coming to you live. On with the show. Well, today we'll be doing a parody of YongYea, doing a parody of YouTube, because I hope this is a parody, because if you're serious, god dang, you'll see how ridiculous it is in a second.
Hey everyone, quick disclaimer. Once again, I've decided to censor
Disclaimer!
words so that YouTube doesn't deem my video not advertiser friendly.
Lovely boulders! I'm gonna flag you!
It's just a few words. You'll hear like
Naughty
beeps here and
words.
there. So that's what that is. I hope you can understand. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's just dive right into it.
I just
I
jumped right
thought
into
I'd
it.
just be making the one video on this topic, but Rock, Paper, Shotgun continues with the insinuation and argument that Cyberpunk 2077 is somehow overtly racist. In my last video, I
What
talked
did he
about
say
this
there?
article from the outlet
Wait,
by
what
Matt
word
Cox
was it
titled
that you're not allowed to say on the
Cyberpunk
YouTube anymore?
2077's E3 demo
Wait, is it
has
racist?
gunplay and
Wait a second, it's just a word.
stereotypes.
It's in the
In it, the writer
dictionary.
expressed his
It's in
disapproval
the
at some of the
dictionary,
imagery
ladies and
he saw
gentlemen.
during the behind
Okay,
closed
maybe
doors
force
E3
lightning. No, force lightning right into the dictionary.
felt
Maybe
uncomfortable
expose
that
it's a
the player
word.
happened to be
Are you
killing
kidding me?
predominantly
Some-
black people
Did you
in
hear
this
that?
particular
Okay,
demo,
just
that many of these black people
continuing.
were part of a gang called the Animals who consume a drug called juice to power themselves up, that there is a Haitian gang called Voodoo Boys, and that the demo ends with a white man being right about a black man's betrayal. Now, if you watched my last video on the matter, you'll know that I've had plenty of things to say on the topic, and you'll also know that Mike Pondsmith, the creator of Cyberpunk, issued his own response to these kinds of notions. In one post, Mike Pondsmith provided some context about the naming convention of some of these gangs. He pointed out how the name Animals has nothing to do with race, but is rather a reference to this gang thinking of themselves as powerful, dangerous, wild animals. Honestly, didn't think this would need explanation given all the context the demo provided, given how clear it was that the Animals are basically the bodybuilding gang kind of. But there you go. Not to mention the Animals gang isn't just comprised of black people, it's mixed in terms of race. In fact, the leader of the Animals is a white female going by the name Sasquatch, a name that's also meant to represent this raw animalistic strength and agility. So this gang is all about striving for peak raw physical prowess, whether it be through training, through cybernetic enhancements, or through drugs like this so-called juice. As for Voodoo Boys, Mike expressed that the original gang from the 2020 tabletop was meant to be a scathing commentary on cultural appropriation, while adding that he loves the idea of the real practitioners of Voodoo, a real religion from Haiti by the way, moving in and taking back their
Indeed.
turf. On top of all this, in another post,
Oh no, they
Mike
talked about
Pondsmith
supernatural
expressed
stuff.
that he was getting
Watch
pretty
out.
tired of people on the internet telling him, a black man, what he should be offended by. Now, as far as Rock, Paper, Shotgun goes, it isn't just the one writer who insinuated CD Projekt Red is reinforcing offensive stereotypes through Cyberpunk 2077. Founder of Rock, Paper, Shotgun, John Walker, offered his own take
Alright,
on the
this is gonna get
situation on
interesting
Twitter.
here, ladies and
Attached
gentlemen.
to this tweet is an image showing Mike Pondsmith's response to claims that Cyberpunk 2077 is being offensive against black people, in which he explains the context behind the Animals gang nomenclature. In response to this quote from Mike Pondsmith, here's what John Walker had to say. I love an argument that says this can't be racist because the imaginary people we made up made the decisions.
Now notice what was censored there. God dang YouTube. I hope not. This is a joke,
That's
right?
not even the friggin' point that Mike Pondsmith is trying to make with his response. He's not saying that this isn't racist because fictional characters decided to name themselves. He's saying that people are taking the word animals way out of context. For some reason, Rock, Paper, Shotgun's knee-jerk reaction when hearing the word animals is to assume the most offensive way the word could be used, when in fact the word animal can be used in the context of, damn, that guy is an animal, that guy is a beast. People use the term animal to suggest that somebody is very strong, very agile. Calling someone an animal can actually be a badass compliment about one's prowess, and
I believe
that's
there was
why
a
the
wrestler.
Animals gang chose to call themselves
Steve Dye
that
might
way.
know about
As
that.
Mike Pondsmith explained here, they see themselves as powerful, dangerous, wild animals. They're proud of calling themselves animals because they're proud of being the strongest of the strongest. It's got nothing to do with race, and the fact that John and Matt's immediate thought process when hearing the term animal was to go with the most racist interpretation says more about
I
them
can't believe it.
than about
I
the
can't believe
But it
I'm hearing
doesn't
this
end
on
there,
YouTube,
folks,
that
after
that's not
nodding a
allowed.
wave of backlash
Possibly.
with this, what I believe to be an asinine comment.
Interesting.
John proceeded to add
Clowny
this
kind of
to this
world.
string of
Yeah.
tweets.
I'm
Extraordinary
sure that's
work
already
by the overnight
demonetized.
Twitter goblins, those who spend
New
most of their
satire
waking
parody, ladies
lives
and gentlemen.
preaching about
Yeah.
anti-white racism, suddenly changing their worldviews and believing it impossible that a person of color can make a bad argument regarding racist tropes. Yikes. First of all, so-called Twitter goblins screeching anti-white racism aren't the only ones who are rather baffled by your take and your statements.
Word.
Take this reaction from Paris, for example. And Paris, for those who don't know, is the man who had that well-known, hilariously gleeful reaction to last year's Cyberpunk 2077
there you go.
behind closed doors presentation. He was invited back to E3
Cyberpunk
2019 to check out this latest demo, and his reaction this year was just as enthusiastic.
Enthusiasm,
Paris,
ladies
a
and gentlemen,
black
not
man who
allowed.
never once perceived racist
I don't even know
undertones
anymore. Like,
from the
word.
E3 2019 demo, gave his own take on John Walker's statement, stating the following.
I like how it
assume you
seems
wrote
like
the
he's not
asinine
bleeping out
article
everything.
that started
That's
all
that
this.
special
Mike
word.
Pondsmith isn't imaginary. He's an African-American who created this world and characters of Cyberpunk, so who are you to tell him or myself what to be outraged about? I wish your clickbait was imaginary.
I hope they tell me
As a bit of a
I am not
correction, the
allowed
one
to
who
make this
wrote
video
The article
either.
was Matt Cox. John Walker is the founder of Rock Paper Shotgun. But they're clearly both from the same outlet and pretty much on the same page. And these two white folks are convinced that Mike Pondsmith, a black man, the creator of Cyberpunk, the supervisor of Cyberpunk 2077, is being racist against his own people. As one appropriate Twitter response to John's
That's
post
interesting
put it,
what's being stated.
Mike Pondsmith is going to be so upset when he finds out he's oppressing himself. Now, John also brought up the point that it's not impossible for someone to make a bad argument about racist tropes against their own race. Oh, well, then surely the white man
By the way,
must
I'm
be
sure
the
YouTube
expert
will not
of
allow
this
this
subject
video
and know
also
more about black
to get past a certain
racism
point before
than the black
they
man
neuter
who's
this
lived
or
through 65
censorship
years
reasons
of
or
American
that's
history.
just too
Surely
spicy
John
for
here must be
family-friendly
absolutely
Disney
correct and is making
level
an airtight argument by
Disney
making
Channel
light
family
of Mike
YouTube.
Pondsmith's explanations and insights in regards
Yeah, there's
to
filters,
why
right?
he named
Right,
the
YouTube?
way he did.
Everything's
and by
what you got
speculating that the black
rated,
man who
you know,
created the
PG. I have no
Cyberpunk
freaking
universe
clue.
is being insensitive towards
PG-13, by the way, ladies and
by
gentlemen.
using
That's
the word
that's the
animal
expectation,
and by
though. That
referencing
maybe
the Voodoo
around
religion
there.
in his
Try
own
not to
world.
go past
Look,
that.
I'm not going to say it isn't impossible for a black man to make a bad argument against racist tropes, but I'm sure it's
dang!
more inclined
I
to listen
gotta
to a
count later
black
how many
man
bleeps there was
about
in this.
these topics of
Oh,
black
man.
racism than two white guys who feel the need to be offended for
I
others
sense
when
much fear
clearly
in the
no
bleep.
offense was
Indeed.
intended
Oh,
or given.
the
Maybe there is a
bleeps.
small chance
You're
that a
dangerous.
black man can give a bad
Can't
take
think
on
that you're
black
wrong think.
racism, but there sure
God
as hell is a much
dang.
greater
Wow.
chance that a white man will give a bad take on the topic. It'd be one thing if Rock Paper Shotgun had some tangible arguments to offer, but all they've done
no, they
in my
seem to
eyes
be
is
idiots.
reach to make these
Just a little bit. Just full-on retards. Oh, wait, I said another word that's in the dictionary. Not allowed.
They're looking way too deep
I'm
into
just
this
really
and
trying
looking
for this
any
video to get
excuse
maybe
to
2
make a
views.
connection
That's all
to
YouTube
something
will allow.
inappropriate. John Walker finished off his string of tweets with the following post.
Too
Although, let's be
spicy a
fair
video.
to the
I'm sure they'll
dozens who
immediately
genuinely
throw it down the
didn't
category
understand
toilet.
the difference between real and imaginary people. This is in response to how people
Love the
have
censorship on
responded
YouTube.
to
It's
John's
the best.
first tweet by joking
The
that John
ridiculous
seemingly
stuff you now
thinks
have to
Mike
do in your own
Pondsmith,
videos.
the
Guess what?
creator,
I'm
is
not
imaginary.
doing it.
People
They can
generally
shove the
know what it meant
monetization
to.
up
You're
you
making
nowhere.
the argument that Mike Pondsmith
Patreon,
is
Streamlabs,
diverting
that crap in the
blame
future
to
for anybody
fictional
wanting,
characters
you know,
that
tips,
Mike is trying to
etc.
say I wasn't
No, I'm not gonna
racist,
ask
the
for it. It's like,
imaginary gang was. But again, that's
whatever.
not even close to what Mike
Just leave it there.
Pondsmith
I
is
would do
doing
like
here. That's
Rakieta
not the
law
point
and
he's
just
trying
leave
to
it
make.
there.
Mike
People can
isn't
make up their own
scapegoating
goddamn
responsibility
mind if
to
they want to do
fictional
anything with it.
characters or trying to make excuses. He's explaining in very clear terms the origin of the name The Animals
Free
and
thought
how it
will
comes
soon human be
from this
extinct.
idea that the gang is all about
Free thought is
power,
not allowed.
because believe it or not, John, there
You
are
say
animals
anything
far
mildly
stronger and far faster than us human beings.
negative.
There are animals who can shred the average human to pieces
Not allowed.
without much of an effort.
Wait,
and
wait.
this gang strives
Opposite
to
sides
reach
of the
that
same
level of
coin, not
prowess,
allowed
to be
either.
as fast as a
So-
cheetah or as strong as a bear, to go beyond normal human
Yeah.
strength and speed, to become
Fun stuff.
superhuman.
Fun
Essentially.
times,
It's
indeed.
really not that complicated. It feels to me like John is the one who can't seem to grasp the difference between reality and imagination. This is an imaginary world where imaginary killing,
Well, Twitter's an imaginary
gang
world
activity,
too, and
imaginary
YouTube
corporate
is
scumbaggery,
wow,
and imaginary
quickly
government
becoming Twitter.
shadiness are commonplace regardless of race. And some of the imaginary gangs featured here are the animals who imaginarily boost themselves with imaginary cybernetics and imaginary drugs, as well as featuring imaginary cultish gangs like the Voodoo Boys, comprised of imaginary extremist Haitians who specialize in imaginary net running, among many other imaginary gangs of all races that will be featured in this game. And us as players, as the
It's a
imaginary
video game.
protagonist V, will probably be shooting at many imaginary people from these.
It's going to be an
imaginary
interesting game
gangs.
because apparently
And those
people on
imaginary people
both
will
sides are
probably
upset
be
with
shooting
it.
at us for all kinds of messed up imaginary reasons. That
It's far
fit
too
within the
left,
context
and it's
of
far
this
too right.
imaginary dystopian
Okay,
world
I don't
that
know,
is
but that's
Cyberpunk.
that's
Look, I'm not trying
amazing.
to say that fiction or imaginary work can't be overtly racist or offensive. I'm saying that Cyberpunk 2077 is not one of these cases based on what we have seen so far.
It
is
doesn't
my
seem
belief
like
that
it.
You, John, alongside
No, it
Matt,
doesn't.
are grasping at straws.
I've seen most
I
of
think
the
the
trailers.
most imaginary thing right now
Most of the
is
gameplay
this
footage.
connection that a game
Yeah.
named Animals is somehow an offensive attack on black people, that this all somehow equates to racism or offensive tropes. Honestly, if you engaged in this level of scrutiny with last year's
Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk demo, you could
77
argue that CD Projekt
did nothing
Red was
wrong.
being anti-white
Or
people
2077,
then, because in
however
last
you want
year's
to
demo,
call
the
it.
player killed
2K77? No, that's
exclusively
wrong.
white
No,
people
see,
whose
that's where you
faces
go
have
full
been
on
kinda, like,
douchebag.
scooped out
Like,
and
I
replaced
don't,
with
I ain't even gonna
cybernetic.
talk about
You
the
think there's a
NBA
message
2K
there as
game.
well,
Oh,
something
that's its own
offensive there?
disaster
Also, in
area right
last
now.
year's demo, the person who happened to betray the player was this white corporate woman. Is there a hidden message there
Oh
as well?
my.
As for this year's demo, yes,
Easter
we
eggs
did
everywhere!
people, but they are part of a freaking gang. They're not good people. It's not like CD Projekt Red went out of their way to go on a shooting spree against black civilians or anything like that. Yes, in this year's demo was a white man who was from this Netwatch government organization that warned the player about the Haitian gang member betraying you. And yes, that turned out to be right, but again, we are dealing with multiple shady organizations and factions in this dystopian world. Backstabbing and betraying will be commonplace, regardless of race. I should also add that Rock, Paper, Shotgun doesn't mention that there is the option of siding with Netwatch or siding with Voodoo, and we still don't
Wait,
know
there's
what would happen
options?
if we would
Oh,
have
tell
sided
me
with
more!
This Netwatch guy, this white guy. I'm sure he would have betrayed us in a different way. It's also worth noting that after the attempted betrayal from the Voodoo gang, they eventually do decide to team up with V and help V find out more about that chip inside his
Press
or her
1
neck.
if you want to
Why
shove a
wasn't that
chip
ever
somewhere.
mentioned? Also, how about the fact that
Right,
black
that's what you
Asian
want,
people in
YouTube.
this
You
game,
want us to
the
shove the
Voodoo
chip
Boys,
somewhere
happen
so
to
you
be
completely
basically
control
the
us and
smartest
just give
people
you
in Night
money?
City. They are the
Alrighty
most
then. Oh no, wait,
talented
I'm not
netrunners
pressing that
and
button.
hackers.
I'm
That's
not going to
pretty
press
badass. How
1
come
here,
nobody's bringing
YouTube,
that point
or
up?
anybody
Let me make one thing
else
clear
that
here.
wants to
Based
do
on what
that.
I've seen so far, Cyberpunk 2077 doesn't evoke the sense that it's a game about race. It is a game about factions, groups of people, characters from all walks of life who are living in a dystopian world, all of who have their own agendas, who understand that this is a world in which it's survival of the fittest, and who may resort to scummy methods if need be to achieve their goals, their agendas.
Yeah,
And
my
that
scummy
includes the
method, I think, is
protagonist,
going to
he
be
as
choosing
well.
the Alex
He
Becker
has
option and
his
not
or her
monetizing
own
my
goals
channel.
and
No,
will do
no.
shitty things
Yeah,
to achieve
I
that
think he
because
doesn't monetize
that's the
his
kind of
channel,
world
so
this is.
on
You have to
purpose,
get
just to
down in
say,
the dirt
fuck you,
if you want
YouTube.
to get
Yeah!
forward in life, because
So
this
I might be,
society is
I'm
just shitty.
good
And
chance
that's
I might
kind of
do
the
that,
point of
even if I
Cyberpunk.
don't
It
have
is
the
not
option.
an ideal
Sorry about
reality.
super chats.
It's about trying to
You know, you want to
find
be funny and stuff.
humanity
There's other
within
options.
all this muck and all this dirt and all this nastiness. Oh, and while we're on the topic of controversial representation, I'd like to shift gears a moment to that trans ad that's made headlines, that's caused some backlash. For those who missed it, I gave my take on that in my last video. I talked about why such an ad fits in a dystopian world like this, where switching out body parts is so common and feasible that trans is actually far more accepted in this society, in this fictional world, than in our current reality, to the point where mega corporations feel like they can exploit hypersexualized trans imagery to market and sell their products. That's sort of the basic gist of what I said in my last video, but I do want to add that CD Projekt Red recently conveyed in an interview that they're working to ensure players can mix and match hairstyles, facial features, body type, and voice from either gender, thereby allowing players to essentially create a trans V if they so desire. I think that's incredibly cool, I think it's very fitting, and it's also one of the ways CD Projekt Red is showing that they are taking trans representation to heart. I understand that this doesn't necessarily guarantee that such a sensitive topic will be handled gracefully through some of the storylines we'll be experiencing in the final game. That obviously remains to be seen, but that's all the more reason to wait until the game's out, until we play it, and then we can judge how this game handles certain storylines, certain plots, certain thematic elements. I have no problem with people being concerned with wanting certain things out of a game, but to look at one or two vertical slices of a game, make these loose connections and tout offensive stereotyping, to look at one ad
I'm offended that everyone else is offended.
Take it out of context or assume ill intent.
Lawsuits are coming. Oh
yeah,
lawsuits is more like it. God dang.
That's where I feel like we're going past the point of critiquing and just being plain antagonistic. And then when we start seeing tweets like these where a white man...
Oh, by the way, YouTube, since this is also not allowed, I'm a moderate, just in case you're wondering if you want to, depending on what category you want to throw me into. Stop throwing me the other way, because I'm not die-hard conservative
here.
Maybe
either. Start having a discussion about what's offensive. I don't know. These are just one man's thoughts and opinions. This tweet, I don't know, I just found it particularly distasteful. I'd love to hear
I
what
find
your
it
take
ridiculous
is
you
on all
had
this
to
in the comments
goddamn
below.
bleep
With
racist.
I would like to
The
end
word
this
racist
update
or
and
racism.
discussion video. Thank you for tuning in.
This is
To be further
insane.
updated
It
on
is
all
indeed
things
honk
gaming
honk
news,
bloody
reviews,
world.
and discussions. Stay tuned right here on YongYea. I'll see you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed this farce, this parody, this new satire, making fun of the fact that video game news journalist has to bleep out certain words from a tweet or from a news article, wherever it may be, because it's considered too controversial for YouTube, and then he will be demonetized and not make any money off the video, even though it's, stuff that's in the dictionary. I mean, words that are used in a conversation all the time. This is ridiculous. This is going too far. This needs to change. I don't know what it's going to take for it to change, but this cannot be the answer. I will not do this either. I will not bleep out certain words because it might offend someone. By the way, again, you can see it up here. The video address, the link will be in the description as always. Yes, credits to indeed the Rock Paper Shotgun doubles down on Insinuations that Cyberpunk 2077 is offensive. Parody. I don't know if I'm going to call that. I'll call it something, but probably Cyberpunk 2077 is offensive parody. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of videos with that, so I don't know. I'll see what I call it. It'll be something interesting. Screw the SEO. You can take your goddamn algorithm and everything else and shove it up your ass, YouTube. Have a nice day, ladies and gentlemen. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. Bye-bye.